The world is full of diamonds and gems, and we are having some of them here today to build this event. A very warm afternoon to all our esteemed guests, respected faculty members, and all the participating students. I, Devanshi Jain,
And I, Divya Patel.
are your MCs for today's valedictory session of UWSL Karnavati University. It is our honor itself to honor this beautiful audience who have gathered here. We are delighted to have you with us to participate and share in our National Client Counseling Competition. That many of you have traveled long distances to be here serves as a reminder to all of us.
It is an honor to have with us our chief guest, Honorable Mr. Dinesh Maheshwari Sir, Judge, Supreme Court of India, and our chief patron, Honorable Mr. Justice Kalpesh Satyendra Javeri, former Chief Justice of Odisha High Court, who despite of their busy schedule today took out time to grace this occasion with their presence.
Now, I'd request our esteemed Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. A.K.S. Suryavanshi, to come forward and share some words of wisdom.
Thank you. Vidya dadati vinayam, vinaya dadati patratam, patrata dhanma panoti, dhana dharmam tata sukham. The knowledge gives you position, and the knowledge and humility and the position together makes you what you can be in the life. Your Lordship, Honorable Justice Dinesh Maheshwari ji, Judge Supreme Court of India, Honorable Justice K. Javeri ji, former Chief Justice Odisha High Court, Dr. P. Lakshmi, Dean United World School of Law, all the Mr. Ritesh Hada, the President of the governing body, faculty members, all the staff, and future officers of the Honorable Courts of India. Namaste, very good afternoon to all of you. First, on the behalf of Karnavati University and all our staff behalf, we extend our warm welcome and with a lot of gratitude to your Lordship, Justice Dinesh Maheshwari ji, Honorable Judge, Supreme Court of India, for taking out time to come all the way from Delhi in spite of your very busy schedule to bless all of us this afternoon on 30th of April 2022. Sir, your coming here has been a boon for all of us, and we are so excited for last 3-4 days once you said that you would be coming here, and all the students have been practicing. Your Lordship, we would like to also inform you that the School of Law has been doing very well, and under guidance of His Lordship Justice Javeri sir, this Moot court was conceived, organized, and with a constant guidance, today is the finale. Just to give you, all of you here present, a brief glimpse into His Lordship great career and great contribution, though His Lordship doesn't need any introduction, but Honorable Justice Mr. Dinesh Maheshwari ji became Honorable Judge in 2004, rose to the Chief Justice of Karnataka High Court, further being elevated to Supreme Court of India, where he serves right now. He belonged to Jodhpur, and you'd be very happy to know that he started his career to serve the motherland in the court of Jodhpur, just like a practicing advocate. And all the way, it's just sheer your hard work, conviction, blessings of his father, his forefathers, and all the elders in the family, his teachers. Where now, today, as a proud son of Mother India, your Lordship, you are serving this nation, and we are so grateful and we're very proud of you for what you have done. And it is inspiration to all the future officers of the court this afternoon to listen to you. But to narrate with your permission, it was 8th of April 2022 when I made your Lordship at your residence. And though I had taken only 15 minutes time, but due to my luck and blessings of my forefathers, I got to spend almost 2 hours in your august company. And I was blessed with 2 prasad. One prasad was wisdom, what sir has shared with me. And second, he gave me prasad of Lord Srinath ji that time. And the conversation, I think some of you might not be knowing, sir is a depository of knowledge, not only in the legal sense, but also in the Upanishad, our ancient culture, and is a great proponent to facilitate that even today. And your Lordship, with your permission, I think I will request you to share that story between you and your teacher in Jodhpur with all the future officers of the court, because I was inspired with that story. And if I may have that check from you one day, at least have a look at it, I'd be very grateful. I think my life will be made of as a teacher. So that is a request, Your Lordship. Second, on the beginning, I think I would like to inform the Dean and all the students, future officers of the court. Honorable Lordship has agreed to take a few interns under his tutelage this summer. Of course, you have to qualify for that. It will be tough competition. Very less number of seats are there. So, sir, once again, extremely grateful. I have no words to thank you. And I got motivated as a teacher because you stand for value for values, and we as a teachers must practice that value for values in our life. It is indeed our privilege and my honor to introduce, of course, he also doesn't need any introduction, His Lordship Justice K. Javeri, sir. You know that he became a judge in almost same year, 2004, rose to become Chief Justice of Odisha High Court, and finally settling in the judge's bungalow in Ahmedabad. But he has not retired. You'd be surprised that His Lordship is more busy than what he was when he was in the court arbitration, and more so, he's a mentor to so many law colleges, so many young teachers like Dr. Lakshmi, and I think I also count myself as one of the young teacher, even I'm no more young, sir. But with your blessings, this moot court was conceived, and we are grateful to you, sir, Your Lordship, Justice Javeri, sir, for guiding, because first time when I met, sir, it was on Constitution Day. And I'm aware that was a difficult year for sir, which I will not narrate. You know, every one of us go through that pain point, Constitution Day. And then I requested, sir, Honorable Justice, sir, that I wish to, along with our colleagues, to make this law college one of the good law college. The first question he asked me, I think you may remember, that Vice Chancellor, do you have freedom to do what is supposed to be done? I said, yes, sir, I have the freedom to do what is supposed to be done by a teacher. He said, then I'm going to help you occasionally, but don't put me in any board. I'll come as a senior professor and a mentor whenever you need me. And sir, truly, I have no words, sir. Extremely grateful that we have received your kind guidance. So welcome. Also, I welcome all of you who have come from all over the India, different law colleges, to grace this occasion and participate in the moot court with the blessings from His Lordship Justice Dinesh Maheshwari, sir. Next year, already I have promised, sir, that next year is going to be international moot court, not national moot court. So I think we have to keep the promise. With this, once again, I place on record our deep, deep gratitude and assurance to Your Lordship. Thank you. Namaste. Jai Gujarat. Jai Hind.
I would like to thank our beloved Provost for all words of wisdom that radiated a source of energy within us. Thank you, sir. As a token of gratitude, I would request Professor Dr. A.K.S. Suryavanshi, Vice Chancellor of Karnavati University, to felicitate our chief guest, Honorable Mr. Justice Dinesh Maheshwari, sir, with a memento.
Thank you, sir. Now I'd request Professor Dr. Lakshmi, Dean, UWSL Karnavati University, to felicitate the Chief Patron of the UWSL National Moot Court Competition, Honorable Mr. Justice Kalpesh Satyendra Javeri, former Chief Justice of Odisha High Court, with a memento. Thank you, ma'am. Now, I'd request Professor Shudh Brahmat, Faculty Convener of National Moot Court Society, to present our Vice Chancellor with a memento.
Lastly, we would like to take an opportunity to have a surprise felicitation of the key person behind the success of this event, our beloved Professor Dr. P. Lakshmi Ma'am, Dean UWSL, Karnavati University, for all the efforts to organize this competition. We now request Professor Nitesh Nanavati, Faculty Co-Convener of National Moot Court Competition, to felicitate our beloved Dean Ma'am with a beautiful memento.
Now, I'd like to introduce the chief patron of the valedictory ceremony. We are elated to have with us Honorable Mr. Justice Kalpesh Satyendra Javeri, sir, was nominated as a member of the Executive Committee of Gujarat High Court Advocates Association in 1983 and elected as Joint Secretary in 1984 of the Gujarat High Court Advocates Association. Sir was the Secretary of Gujarat High Court Silver Jubilee Celebration, celebrated in 1984, elected as Honorary Secretary of Gujarat High Court Advocates Association for 3 years. Sir also won Secretary of Gujarat High Court Advocates Law Library since August 1999 and established reference library till 2004. Justice Javeri was advocate on the panel of various prestigious institutions like GSRTC, AMC, FCI, and for the state of Gujarat for arbitration matter before the Gujarat Public Contracts Arbitration Tribunal. Sir was elevated and was sworn in as the Chief Justice of Odisha High Court on August 12, 2018. I now invite our Chief Patron to address the audience.
Honorable Mr. Justice Dinesh Maheshwari, Judge Supreme Court of India, Dr. A.K. Suryavanshi, Vice Chancellor of the Karnavati University, Dr. P. Lakshmi, Dean, Karnavati University, judges of the final Moot Court, all the 3 colleagues from the Gujarat High Court, head of the department of the Karnavati University, participants of the different national law university, institution and the colleges, and all the students, and team who has been team for this event. Special thanks to that students who have made this event little better. Before I proceed with my speech, special thanks to Brother Justice Maheshwari. In spite of today dinner by the Prime Minister, he is with you. There was special thanks, and he has kept his promise, and he is with us. Therefore, it's from my bottom of the heart, I thank him for keeping my friendship and my word. Thank you. Let me tell you, the quotations and the speech is more from the books and the persons who have impressed in my life. As soon as my speech will progress, you will see those are the people who have impressed me as a lawyer and as a judge. Therefore, you will get some of the quotations during my speech. It's pleasure to be addressing the next generation of would-be lawyers, judges, bubbling with the enthusiasm, energy, and eager to succeed in their life. American lawyer and a diplomat, Joseph Cho, has said, you cannot live without the lawyers, and certainly you cannot die without lawyers. But always remember that our destiny is not created by the shoes we wear, but by the steps that we take. So it's important to take small steps at a time and not be in a rush to take an elevator to success. It is hard to go by staircase, but it is good for your health. Similarly, working hard may be strenuous, but it will pay you in the long run. It's an honor to share the intensity of the emotions and feeling, this audience, and the anticipation of the students awaiting the result. But I will just say, Whatever may be the results, it's your hard work and participation in the moot court competition that is important. In words of learned senior advocate Mr. F.S. Nariman, as quoted once, the Olympic Games, the most important thing in the Olympic game is not winning, but taking part. The essential thing in the life is not conquering, but fighting well. And I hope you people have fight well. Our achievement is not the trophy, but what you learn and the courage you showed to participate in this competition is whether you lose or win. However, never stop trying, learning from your mistake or omission and appreciating better performance. Late Advocate General of Maharashtra, Mr. H.M. Shiroi, had once said, "The cause I serve is that of correct and coherent interpretation of our Constitution. If any of my criticisms are found to be correct, the cause is served. And if any are found to be incorrect, the very process of finding out my mistakes may lead to the discovery of the right reason or better reasons that I have been able to give, and the cause is served just as well." You are the next generation which is going to be the part of judicial system. Armed with the skill and knowledge that you have gained, it is also, it's you all who shall give new dimension to the field of law by practicing of hard work, honestly, dedication, and human touch to make it honorable profession. Never shy from reading and updating yourself. As it is rightly said, the man who does not read book has no advantage over a man that cannot read. In this regard, it will be very apt to share with you a quote by third President of United States, Mr. Thomas Jefferson. "A lawyer without book would be like a workman without tool." The two example I may give of sheer hard work and struggle, dedication and determination are Mahatma Gandhi and Abraham Lincoln. However, many times they have failed. They never stopped trying and pursuing their goal. Learned senior advocate F.S. Nariman had once rightly said, "If you don't acquire the fine art of suppressing your ego when you are young, it will be surely overtake you when you are older, after which it will become an incurable disease. What is wrong, that you will also become a bit of bore. If you are not knowing any judgment, try to know it and don't make it an ego that I know." The best thing about future is that it comes one a day at a time. Last but not the least, always remember, character is like a tree and reputation is like shadow. Welcome to the noble profession of advocate. But remember the words of the then Chief Justice M.C. Chagla in his famous book, Roses in December, which every law student should read, which are as under. There is no other profession which demands such patience, perseverance, because as Lord Herbert once said, life at the bar is never bed of roses. It's either all bed and no roses, or roses and no bed. The most difficult time in the advocate's life is when it is all bed and no roses. It is when he is passing through such a situation that he must maintain a stout heart. It is then that the must work hard and slave in a spirit of single-mindedness. It is also the time to learn all that there is to learn about the art of advocacy. Before concluding, I would like to put before you a few lines as said by former Chief Justice of India, Mr. R.C. Lahoti, who had recently passed away, regarding reading as under. The justice seekers, this is more important for us, for the next generation, of justice approach the court, justice with a pain and any anguish in their heart on having faced legal problems and having suffered physically and psychologically. They don't take law into their own hands, as they believe that they would get justice from the courts. We owe an obligation to them to deliver quick justice and inexpensive justice, shorn of complexity and procedure. Thank you to management and everyone for giving me this opportunity to share my views. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your prizing words and for gracing this occasion with your presence. Now, I, on behalf of UWSL, Karnavati University, heartily welcome the Chief Guest, Honorable Mr. Justice Dinesh Maheshwari, sir, Judge, Supreme Court of India. We are honored this morning by the presence of our own Honorable Chief Guest. Justice Maheshwari graduated in law from Jodhpur University in 1980. He enrolled as an advocate on March 8, 1981. As an advocate, he has practiced mainly on civil and constitutional sides. Sir was first appointed as a judge of Rajasthan High Court on September 2, 2004. He was subsequently transferred to Allahabad High Court and took oath on July 19, 2014. Then Justice Maheshwari was appointed as Chief Justice of High Court of Meghalaya on February 2016. Prior to his elevation to the Supreme Court, Justice Maheshwari was serving as the Chief Justice of High Court of Karnataka since February 2018. His tenure as a Judge of Supreme Court will continue till 2023. I now invite our Chief Guest, Honorable, Honorable Mr. Justice Dinesh Maheshwari, sir, to address the audience.
Thank you. Thank you. First of all, my apologies to the students, particularly the participants of this moot court competition, particularly the teams in the final, and particularly the winners, because all of you are waiting for the result, but your organizers have scheduled the program in such a manner that you become a captive audience. You have no choice but to listen to me, right? Because your results would be declared now, later, right? So you become a captive audience. I won't detain you much because all of you are keenly waiting for two most important things. One, the result, and second, the lunch to follow, I suppose. So, thank you so very much, my respected brother, Justice Kalpesh Satyendra Javeri Sahib, the learned Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. A.K.S. Suryavanshi, the respected Dean, Professor Dr. P. Lakshmi, the organizers, particularly the honorable judges of the final rounds of the moot court, the participating students, our other students, ladies, gentlemen. I'm indeed thankful to the organizers giving me this opportunity to be with all of you, sharing a few words and sharing the progression of the jurists of tomorrow here. Just one part of that being the participation in moot court competitions. But more than that, my compliments to the organizers, to the university, to the students also, that despite the trying times of last more than 2 years that the entire humanity is facing, and we were no different. Passing through the phases of COVID, where positive became the most negative word, and to be positive was treated to be rather a curse. Organizing this kind of an event with participation of the students and their advisors from all over the country is a task by no means simple. It must have been a lot of efforts put in, and I could see the beaming faces all around here, testimony to a well-organized program. Thank you so very much, and compliments to all of you. Friends, it's definitely an honor for me also to be here with all of you, sharing your joy, your aspirations, looking at your potential, as also sharing a few words with you, as you are going to be the torchbearers of tomorrow. Before I say anything else, three aspects struck me direct on my coming here in this university campus and being with you. Two of them were the first of the words of the Masters of Ceremony about humility. Then the words of fatherly advice with a caution by Brother Justice Javeri to eschew your ego. And third thing I'll state at the end of the story, which I'm tempted to share with you, although I expect that most of you, or at least some of you, must have come across this story one way or the other. The story is about a great name with which all of us are conversant, and that is the great Kalidas. There are several factors, features stated about Kalidas. That to start with, maybe he was not that bright, but somehow he took up, he understood, and he had the blessings of, well, all the gods of wisdom, and particularly goddess of wisdom. So Kalidas became a great learned person, a great writer. An interesting story goes about Kalidas, that once he was traveling all alone on foot, going from one place to another. It was a kind of a summer day as it is today. Maybe the time might also be around about this 1:20 p.m. Passing through a jungle, all alone, he was quite thirsty, and those were the days you're not carrying that carry bottle or the packed mineral water with him. He reached near a well. An old lady was drawing water from the well. He asked for a handful of water. The lady said, okay, since you are thirsty, water is your need. Have it, but before I serve you, just tell me, who are you? Now this was an insult to the great Kalidas, because he was by that time as a great name already known to everybody, as a great writer and an acclaimed person. Who are you is being asked by an old illiterate lady of the village, just for the sake of a glass of water. Kalidas said, see, I am a traveler. The old lady said, no, son, there are only two travelers in this world, sun and the moon. They travel incessantly, continuously. You can't be the traveler. So, who are you? Great Kalidas said, okay, Take me as a guest. I'm a guest. The old lady said, no, son, there are only two guests in this world, youth and the wealth. They never stay, come what may. You can't be the guest. Now it is becoming a kind of a riddle. Kalidas said, okay, you take me to be a kind of a stubborn person. She said, no, you can't be. Only our hair and nails are the two things which are stubborn. We keep on trimming them and they keep on growing. You can't be that. It's becoming problematic. He said, okay, if I'm not that stubborn, take me, I'm a tolerant person. No. There are only two tolerant things, Mother Earth and the tree. You go on stamping Mother Earth, she still holds you. You go on throwing stones on the tree, it still gives you the fruits. You can't be that tolerant either. Okay, I'm a fool. That was the answer from great Kalidas. The response was the same. No. You can't be the fool. You can't be the ultimate fool, means. There are only two persons who qualify as fools. One is the king, who is an illiterate person, who doesn't know law, who doesn't understand the things, who doesn't understand humans, and still he purports to rule. And second is a sycophant, well, who would go on praising that kind of a king. So these are the two persons who are only qualifying as fools. You can't be that fool either. That was ultimate. Great Kalidas knew it that he has been checkmated. He was answerless. He understood by that time that he is, he is pitted against somebody much more knowledgeable than himself. He fell at the feet of the lady and said, now please forgive me. I understood the limits of my knowledge, how ignorant I am. Please give me glass of water, please, I am thirsty. This all answering I was doing only for the purpose of glass of water. When he rose up, as the story goes, although it is a story, but with a great morale in it, he saw Goddess Saraswati standing before him. She said, Kalidas, you have learnt a lot. You are really an intelligent person, a knowledgeable one. But there is one thing that has overshadowed all your qualities, all your learnings, and that is your ego. If you shun off your ego, if you give up your ego, well, all those learnings would be of effect. Kalidas understood, well, what was, sought to be conveyed to him. Friends, remember, whatsoever you become, there would always remain something to be learnt, something to be understood. We had been telling our students of whatever level they are, that as regards any subject, never tell yourself that you are unable to understand it, because if there is anything available on the earth which has been conceived by somebody and presented to you, well, there is no reason why you will not understand it. Maybe it may take some time, or maybe there are certain features and circumstances because of which you are not able to inculcate it immediately or understand it in the manner it is to be understood, but there is no reason you will not understand it. But the second point, which is more important, is that never ever say to yourself that I have understood everything, because the scope of learning is always there, friends. Whatever you have understood, whatever you have learned, howsoever you have grown, well, there is always a scope for growing, there is always a scope for learning, there is always another possibility. Even if you conceive a proposition, you understand a proposition, that may be correct today, that may be modulated tomorrow, but there may be still another thing to be learned tomorrow. And that is possible for a learned person to do only with humility, only with shunning of the ego of any kind. An ego about knowledge, ego about learning is the worst thing a learned person can do to himself or herself. So friends, we would definitely wish all of you very good. You must not only learn, you must grow much higher and larger than what until now, say for example, we have grown. That is what the growth is about, that is what the life is all about. But always remain glued to the earth, always remain glued to your roots, and always be humble. Always remind yourself this story of Kalidas, that, well, you can't be ultimate. There is always a scope for learning more. Friends, Professor Shrivanshi Saab wanted me to share with you the story of myself and my teacher. I don't know, but since it's a command from the Vice Chancellor of the university, see, one of the basic teachings we had was that my teacher is always right, come what may. So, and Vice Chancellor enjoins upon me a duty to share. It's nothing of a very big deal, but friends, this is just a humble statement that our teachers are our teachers for life. When you will grow and you will have the other roles to play in your life, including that of the parents or the teachers or the guide or the patron, whatever. When somebody else would be under your umbrella, you would feel like how much your teachers have given you. You would understand how much commitment the teachers carry with them, and the debt of a teacher is never a payable debt. We can only try to not to fail them. We can only try to, well, go on the path shown to us. But still and always we will remain humble to and committed to our teachers. To our teachers, we are always the students. And for a student, a teacher is always a teacher. So that story was, it was not story, rather it was just my interaction with my teacher. I don't take any much credit about that. But that is my conception that I shared with Professor Shurvanshi. So since I am under a mandate to share that with all of you, so I need to. It was a very simple happening in a lawyer's office when I was a practicing lawyer. I had some litigations with me. So there were this litigation was that kind of a litigation that multiple number of people were well affected by the same kind of a problem. So there were several writ petitions which were filed by me. So another problem of the same nature, it was some kind of housing board house allotment, and some rates disputes were there. So some writ petitions were filed by me. That was when I was a practicing lawyer. One of my teachers, when I was a student of maybe second or third or fourth standard, so in my primary schooling, one of my teachers, by that time, I had never met him, but when other clients were there, so he also happened to bless me. He came to my chamber. Regarding the same kind of a matter, so he wanted me to do his case also. It's a similar kind of a case. So for a student, well, it's a great opportunity to be having the case of your own teacher in your hands as a lawyer. And since you are dealing with it professionally, yes, I said this is a similar kind of a case, so we'll do. And as feeling elated, a different kind of energy starts generating when you meet with the teacher of your primary school. So it was a kind of a great, travel down the memory lane. So all said and done, this was done. I said your petition would be ready next day, sir. So either I will send it for signatures to your residence, or he said I'll come tomorrow, 5 p.m. or whatever was the time. So he came, signed, and all said and done, everything was done. Now he was a teacher. So up came the question. My lawyer friends are also here. So up came the question, fees kitna? Now it's embarrassing, it's problematic. My teacher is asking me fees. I said, sir, your blessings is with my fees. I don't need anything. So that is what I shared with Professor Shurvanshi. He was my teacher and I was his student. Both had their own ground to stand. He said, without fees, I am not going to have the work done by you. Bina fees ki to kaam karaunga nahi. And I said, sir, I can do anything wrong in this world, but taking a fees from you, sir. So the things were stuck. So what was done was, he was my teacher. Ultimately, he took his checkbook out. He signed a check, a blank check as we say. He signed a check, gave it to me. Let's see, look here, you are doing the work, it's okay, but there would be expenses also, there would be something, etc., clerkage, etc., and your fees. So you be reasonable, you fill up whatever you feel. That is what my teacher asked me. That's an order from the teacher, a check signed by him, given to me. That was during my lawyering days. So what I shared with Professor Survanshi was only this, that that check is still one of my proud assets. It is still with me. Friends, that check is still with me. So that is what Professor Survanshi wanted to have a look at that check. So by the way, that is in Jodhpur. I said, come someday, we'll meet in Jodhpur. I'll show it to you. Friends, these are our personal bondings, which go beyond our professional relationships alone. Teacher-student relation is never a professional relationship. It's a relationship where, apart from giving you the instructions on the subject, the teacher is sharing the personality with you. He or she is helping you grow on your personality. That particular debt you can't ever think of repaying, but yes, living up to the expectations of your teacher, you can always do. And I'm sure all of you would be doing it. And remember, friends, more you grow as in whatever capacities, lawyer, judges, professors, maybe corporate advisors, etc., whatever are the venues, and the multiple venues are available with all of you. You would be carrying, and you would the basic personality which has its debts to your teachers. Remember that, be committed to the teachings of your teachers. That is the best repayment of the debt you can ensure. Shifting on to the subject of your moot problem in this moot court competition, I would again congratulate the organizers, having framed a problem which has its own complications, though seemingly simpler, so far as a lawyer is concerned, and so far as our understanding of the human beings and our sociology and our legal setups are concerned. Surrogacy is a subject which in the coming days would be acquiring your attention more and more. It's nice to find that the organizers of this moot court competition picked up the subject, but then framed the problem in the most, I would say, in a rather simpler manner for the purpose of the students to draw out the best from you, though it is simpler, but well, multiple facets of the problem and multiple role players and different varieties of problems which can arise out of the 3-4 different angles that has been presented. So a well prepared and conceived problem. I'm very sure you must have, all of you must have done a great amount of efforts in preparing yourself for the problem, presenting your viewpoints, and as you are required to look at the different viewpoints, you must have prepared it thoroughly. So far as the results are concerned, of course, all of you are waiting for the results, but we all know that ultimately what matters in the moot court competitions first is your sincere active participation, not mere participation. sincere, active participation where you apply yourself to whatever is the task given, whatever is the problem given, and you try to do your best as a lawyer, and that is how you are the lawyers in the making, and you would be making yourself to be the proud lawyers of tomorrow. I'm not here to dilate further on that subject itself, because that all of you must have for last 3 days must have been dilating on that only, and by this time you would say that no sir, no another lecture on surrogacy now please. So I do not propose to do that, but just an off tangent from the problem which is presented to you is the area of our concern also and your concern also. It's not directly I'm talking about the problem, but I think rather off tangent to that. But well, it has some correlation with that. When you talk about this kind of a problem, you also learn from your teachers, from your own studies, that the concept of having a child beyond only the known biological relations of a man and woman had not been a thing unknown to the past. Rather, there are examples too many. Out of those examples, when we try to recount, maybe whether it is birth of the great elder brother of Lord Krishna, Balaram, by way of as the story goes, that by way of that taking birth from a lady different than the mother, or the story of several of the characters in Mahabharata, whether it is Kauravas or even for that matter, even elder to them, even the birth of Dhritarashtra, Pandu and their third brother Virat. There are stories at all. Interestingly, if you go even before Mahabharata, we remember a great lady named Sita, whom we know more as wife of Lord Ram, who was kidnapped by Ravan. But apart from that story of her matrimony and kidnap and ladai and all that, the war and in the beginning is that Sita's parentage is not known otherwise, as is being said. She was the daughter of Mother Earth. Now, obviously, certain different biological factors were available, but she was not the directly born daughter of his or her parents, Janak and his wife. But friends, these stories and learnings from these stories it would be always there for you to go on learning them, growing on them. The point which I want to make today before you is this. In our studies of law, it starts happening this way, that we have several of the principles from Aristotle, several of the principles from Jeremy Bentham, maybe from Patton, Salmond, etc., etc. When we understand them, we understand the logics of them, we understand how the law has grown. But we as students of law, particularly of this great country, India, we need to know the legal and constitutional history of India also, and this should remain an equally important subject for all of you, whether it is a part of your curriculum or not. It must be, or in a way it should be. What is required to be understood by us when we look deep down into the history, or we not only the written the present day history, even those books of which are given the character of, well, more of mythology, and then maybe reverence is one thing. A lot of us are brought up with in our households to be respectful towards Ramayana, Ramcharitmanas, Mahabharata, Gita, Quran, Bible. But they are not simply the religious books. Each of them carries the realities of life and how a human being would be comporting himself or herself to be to have a meaningful existence on this earth, and to meaningfully contribute towards progression of the very race of which we belong to, that is the Homo sapiens. Friends, in that context, when we are talking of Sita, apart from knowing her character only with reference to the dispute or the war which took place because of her, if we look at even Valmiki Ramayana for that matter, and even Ramcharitmanas, a slightly different version presented in the later years by Tulsidas, we find that in these 14 years of exile, it was not that suddenly they came out of Ayodhya and immediately thereafter the war happened. There had been a gap of 13 years in between. In those 13 years, while passing through the forests, we come across a lot of dialogues. We come across a lot of propositions which are credited to Sita, the principles which she, according to her understanding, shared with Lord Ram. And interestingly, in one of those conversations, she is questioning Ram, and this is very significant and interesting to understand, that though Ram would be eliminating the demons wherever they are found in the forest, she has a question to raise, that yes, you can eliminate the demons who are criminals or who are offending the laws, but a person who is merely a demon, merely belonging to a particular race, and has otherwise not done anything of offense or criminality, how can you kill him? Friends, we look at our present concepts and we look at the dialogues coming from, or the questions coming from our Valmiki Ramayana, we understand that these features which we know today are forming the parts of our Constitution of India and then forming the parts of our statutes and then forming the parts of our discourse on law at different levels, including the adjudicatory process in the courts of law, well, they always are having their roots somewhere in our legal history. Even the developments, maybe starting from Aristotle, were also of the later days. Much prior to that, we had those principles with us. Another example, Mahabharata. We know Mahabharata as a story. Most of us know a story about, well, war and maybe deceit also. But we all know what happened. So many wrongs happened, so many things happened. And ultimately, war, and in the war also so many of the deceits, everybody getting killed by foul means more rather than fair means. All said and done, that is one part of the story, that is not the point. The point and the question to be asked by all of us to ourselves is, do we really remember the learnings and the teachings in Mahabharata after the war? What happened after the war? War was over. We would recollect the story up to the war, up to killing of Duryodhana also. Do we remember the story, or do we remember the teachings of Mahabharata thereafter? When we pause and look at the great teachings available there, in the later chapter of Mahabharata, well, titled Shanti Parv, where there is a great teachings given to Yudhishthir before his coronation, before he takes over as a king. Well, Yudhishthir is to take over as a king, and then he is to be instructed as to how a sovereign would be behaving. The principles there were what we find as to how a king would be behaving. Well, we can modulate it for the present day circumstance, present day our setups as a sovereign. Maybe people are sovereign, but still, how a sovereign would be behaving, and how that is how the society would be behaving. What are the duties of a king towards his subjects? What are the reciprocal duties of the subjects towards the king and towards the nation? Who would be the persons the king would be employing, or king would be engaging as his advisors or ministers or even lawgivers? It's very interesting to find from Mahabharata that as to who should be the judicial administrators is also a teaching given. And one of the basic traits, one of the basic requirement for a teacher, that the shlok goes a long way. He should be well conversant with Vyavahareshu Dharmeshu Gyan Shastra Avalibna. The shloka goes a long way. In summary, I can share that what is expected of a person to be appointed as a judicial administrator is he should be well conversant with Vyavahar, and Vyavahar is, as we know, the civil law. Dharma, of course, dharma is a broader term for the entire rule of law, but he must be well conversant with, and there are several other traits given. One of the interesting traits is that he must himself be a person who well abides by law, who abides by the rules of law, and he makes no difference between friend and foe. Whether we look at that story or those teachings of Mahabharata, or we look at a simple story of Munshi Premchand, Panch Parmeshwar was the title of that story, as to how you can trust a person when he is an Panch, as an arbitrator, an adjudicator. Well, the even if sworn enemy is chosen as an arbitrator, and he says, I am not afraid, that when the person is sitting on the seat of the justice delivery, well, he would be doing justice. For him, friends or foe do not make a difference. Friends, these are our ethos, strongly rooted in the teachings available all around us. It's needed for us to understand, it is needed for us to take note of those teachings also, because they are at the roots of the principles of law on which ultimately a society based on rule of law is sustaining itself, is standing on. You, as the persons who would be dealing with law for all times to come, these inputs, these insights into the legal history would be of great asset, and you would definitely grow on them. Friends, Yuval Harari, in his latest book, 21st Century, has indicated, apart from other things, that the present day circumstances and the present day scenario is that so far as the information is concerned, you all particularly are having an overflowing informations always available with you. So any teacher like Professor Dr. Lakshmi would dare not, well, give you more information, because more than what she can give, you are already having. But she can give you one thing, and which is very important, to differentiate between important and unimportant information. Out of this heap of information which you are having, making sense of the information is also a requirement for you. So it's not that, well, we go on having informations alone, and with a bundle or a heap of information we believe that we have learnt a lot. Making sense, as Harari would put it, the requirement at present is to make sense out of information. And making sense out of information, when you would apply to yourself as lawyers, you will find that even as a lawyer, when you would be dealing with the things, you will be having an excessive amount of information coming, maybe from your client or maybe from the opponent, or maybe bombardment from the judge also, if the judge is, well, not that knowledgeable, or the judge is overflowing with the knowledge. Either way, the requirement for you as professionals would always be to make sense out of that information. Making sense out of information is as important, and in that, well, when you remember and when you see the subtle distinction of search and research, you always loosely use this word. I've done a lot of research. Sometimes I ask my students, well, in research, what were you doing? And I'm given the information that I searched this. Then my question is that whatever you have done is a search, either in your books or in your net or your systems or whatever. That is search. What is a research? You know it, that making sense out of that search, putting your own ideas into it and growing on it, that is what research is. So please don't stop at search. Please When you use that expression research, please indeed do your research. These subtle distinctions, like solution and resolution, we say in the courts always, you always come across that expression, ADR mechanisms. ADR stands for alternative dispute resolution mechanism. Now what is this resolution? Then are we not solving the problems otherwise? If we are solving, then what is this resolving? And if the subtle distinction of solving and resolving, the subtle distinction of interpretation and construction, well, you interpret, but you construct, you use these two expressions. Now, there has to be a difference, there is a difference. Making sense out of interpretation, well, leads to your construction, and well, giving a word a particular meaning as is required in the context, and thereafter, thereby making that word making sense in the context. That is how you construct. So friends, these are the areas where, well, all through as a lawyer, as a person, as a law professionals, you would be doing, and that is an interesting job and interesting skill that gives you yourself not only a sense of satisfaction when you are able to, well, research and you are able to come out, when you are able to first of all apply yourself, your mind, as Einstein used to say, you know, that an intuitive mind is a God's gift, and a rational mind is a faithful servant. Unfortunately, that is what Einstein said, unfortunately, we have created a society which honors the servant and tends to forget the God's gift. The God's gift, that intuition, that intuitive mind in you will make a difference between your search, or rather it would be taking your search to research. That is where from solution to resolution you would be proceeding. So my friends, well, you are the future of the country. You are the torch bearers of the legal system. Or whenever anybody tends to talk about the shortcomings or the challenge or shortcomings or anything which may be lacking in our system, we have to ask ourselves, I would always say that we all of us make this system. If there is something of shortcoming in the system, you and me are answerable, and you and me are responsible to evolve. You and me are, well, required to, this is a part of our duty, to deal with those shortcomings, find solutions and go for resolutions, and thereby see that our systems develop. So before my other friends now take a nap, I will, because taking a nap before taking your lunch is not good. So thank you so very much. It has been already a long afternoon for all of you. Thank you so very much. All the best.
I'd like to thank our chief guest, who graced us with his thought-provoking address. Your presence and gentle words are a source of encouragement for all of us. Thank you so much, sir. Now is the time we acknowledge and encourage the talent of the participants. By proceeding with the prize distribution ceremony, I request Ms. Grishma Brahmbhatt and Ms. Priyanka Taktawala to come forward and announce the names of the winners.
I will request Honorable Justice Maheshwari to come forward and felicitate the winners of the UWSL National Moot Court Competition 2022 with the trophies. And furthermore, I will also request Honorable Justice Javeri to felicitate the winners with the checks. Moving forward, we first begin with the first category, that is for the Best Speaker category. We have the award for the second runner-up in the Best Speaker category goes to, it's a tie between Stuti Singh from RJNUL NMCC 01 and Lokendra Singh from ICFAI Law College NMCC 13. Certificate. The award for the runners-up in the Best Speaker category with prize money of 5,000 rupees goes to Ashwarya from KIT Law School and MCC 03. Aishwarya from KIT Law School. The award for the best speaker with a prize money of 10,000 rupees goes to Aditi Priyadashi from RJNUL and MCC 01. Our next category is for the Best Memorial. The award for the second runner-up in the Best Memorial category goes to Lloyd Law College and MCC 10. Lloyd Law College and MCC 10. Lloyd Law College, Noida. Good now.
The correct certificate, please. Correct certificate. So they can give the certificate later. It's kept inside?
The award for the runners-up in the Best Memorial category with the prize money of 5,000 rupees goes to Symbiosis Law College, Pune and MCC 05. The award for the Best Memorial with a prize money of 10,000 rupees goes to Dr. Punjab Rao Deshmukh College of Law, Amravati and MCC 14.
We now move forward with the winners of the UWSL National Moot Court Competition 2022. The award for the second runners-up team with prize money of 20,000 rupees goes to Parul Institute of Law, NMCC 27. Now the winner of the UWSL National Moot Court Competition 2022 with a prize money of 40,000 rupees goes to Institute of Law, Nirma University, NMCC 21. The winners have the prize money of 40,000 rupees. Last but not the least, the award for the runners-up with the prize money of 30,000 rupees goes to Maharashtra National Law University, Nagpur.
The best and the beautiful things in the world cannot be seen or even touched. They must be felt by heart. Thank you is one such prayer among them. I'd request Professor Shudh Brahmbhatt to propose a vote of thanks.
Honorable dignitaries on and off the dais, faculty colleagues, participants, and my dear students. Thankful hearts find heavenly blessings every hour, and we really wish this to be the one. It indeed is a distinguished honor and privilege to proffer vote of thanks in the valedictory ceremony of UWSL National Moot Court Competition 2022. Karnavati University Moot Court Society extends deepest gratitude to His Lordship, Honorable Mr. Dinesh Maheshwari, Judge Supreme Court of India, for accepting our invitation to grace the occasion of valedictory ceremony with his kind presence and for enlightening address as a chief guest. We express our heartfelt thanks to Honorable Mr. Justice Kalpesh Satyendra Jhaveri, former Chief Justice of Odisha High Court, for his profound patronage in conduction of this competition, as well as continuous guidance to impart best legal education at United World School of Law, Karnavati University. We are highly obliged to extend our deepest gratitude to Honorable Mr. Justice N.V. Anjaria, Judge Gujarat High Court, for his blessings and humble presence during the inauguration of this competition. Further, we are grateful for the gracious presence and blessings of honorable judges from district courts as well as High Court of Gujarat during the conduction of this competition. It is a moment of prestige to extend heartiest gratefulness to our revered President, Shri Ritesh Hada, and esteemed Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. A.K.S. Suryavanshi, for their generous considerations and kind support to conduct this national level competition. Their visions and beliefs in us have only been fueling our toes to successfully materialize such academic events. We are beholden to the most instrumental personality under whose able guidance our dream to organize first national moot court competition has been accomplished, respected Dean Professor Dr. P. Lakshmi ma'am. We are grateful to esteemed administrative offices of Karnavati University for bestowing ample assistance to successfully organize various sessions of this competition. Our sincere thanks to all the HODs and deans of constituent colleges of Karnavati University for gracing different sessions of the competitions with their esteemed presence. We are extremely thankful to all the respected faculty colleagues and non-teaching staff members for their joint contribution to materialize this competition. We are immensely thankful to our knowledge partner Manupatra for enduring great support for conduction of this event. We extend deepest gratitude to Gujarat National Law University for providing leather-bound barracks to our participants. We express gratefulness to all the participants representing premier law schools, institutions, and universities across different regions of India for joining us in this competition. It had been a great pleasure to host you all in this National Moot Court Competition 2022. This competition would not have been organized successfully without the dedication and hard work efforts displayed by our student committee as well as volunteers, whom we are immensely thankful. At the end, we express deepest gratitude to all the students who are present here to make this day memorable. Thanks everyone for making this event successful. Thank you.